and I'm just having a cup of coffee, just waiting to this store that will open very soon. And I decided to make a video about about good stereos and bad stereos. Good vintage stereos and bad vintage stereos. Okay, there's so many vintage stereos, guys, that it's good, and there's vintage stereos that it's bad. Many of us would not know what's good vintage stereos, especially when you don't have knowledge, you don't have experience about vintage stereos. Each vintage stereos has capacities, has watts, has wattage, how much throw out to your speakers, how powerful it is, how not powerful. Many vintage stereos, guys, I would say there's cheap vintage stereos out there that it's not that good. Okay, let's start with the vintage stereos that it's good, and I want to talk about the good stereos that will make your needs or your expectations that you're looking for. Okay, for some of you guys, especially for the beginners out there that doesn't know about vintage, or they just want to they just got into it, this is the tips, guys. When you buy a good vintage stereos, okay, you always look with the watts. You look in the back, how many watts, how many speakers that you can use. Some of them are 2 channels, some of them are 4 channels, and you look at where it's made, what country. Okay, me as a collector, guys, I've been collecting Japanese stereos, and that's what I'm collecting. Okay, I am a fanatic of Japanese stereos, from Marantz, Sansui's, Techniques, Pioneer, JVC, Panasonic, all these Japanese stereos. But it's not necessarily, because it doesn't mean that it's Japanese. It doesn't mean they're all good. Okay, some of them are made from a very long time, and some of them are kind of like just ordinary vintage stereos. Okay, when you buy vintage stereos, when you want vintage stereos, like a good one, you carry that receiver or amplifier. If it's really heavy, that means that it's good. Okay, if you open the cover, take that cover out, and you look at the transformers, and when you see those capacitors, when you see them, they are big enough, and the transformer is huge enough, they are heavy, that means they are good. Okay, the heavier the better, the bigger the better. Okay, when you see those transformers big, that is good. When you see those capacitors big, if it's more than 2 capacitors, that's much better. And the weight. Okay, and like I said, you look in the back if it's made in Japan, because I love Japanese stereos, and that is good. Okay, some of the stereos, guys, those not the good vintage stereos, which are smaller, thinner, lighter, you can tell by the looks. The knobs, the more knobs are better, the bigger knobs are better. Silver faceplate vintage stereos, the watts, these are the things that you have to look when you buy vintage stereos, okay? There's a lot of people out there, guys, watching this video, and you guys know already about all this stuff that I'm talking about. But these are for the people that they are just starting, liking vintage stereos and getting into vintage stereos. And this video is for those people that doesn't really know what to buy yet, or they don't have knowledge yet. So I'm just trying to help out here for new beginners, newcomers about vintage stereos, because I have experience for years collecting stereos, and I know what's good and not. And there's many people out there, guys, that doesn't have knowledge, or people, they just want to buy stereos because they just want to have one. In other words, they don't really care about what they're buying, or they're just wasting their money. So these are the tips that you can, learn from me when you buy vintage stereos, okay? The other thing, guys, when you buy vintage stereos, the higher, the longer, the wider, the heavier, these are the good stereos, guys. And there's so many models, guys, they goes up and up and up and up, like for example, the Marantz 2220, and there's the higher one, 4430, which one, the one I have. So the models keeps going up, and they keep upgrading. The engineers, they keep upgrading these stereos, and they just want to, push and show it to the people, the buyers, that these are better than the models from before. It's the same thing with iPhone, guys. iPhones, they keep going up from iPhone 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 until 14. Now it's coming out with 15. So it's the same thing, guys. But the vintage, the difference between that and today's generation, the vintage is just vintage, okay? Today, they don't really make those vintage anymore. That's why there's people out there that collect this vintage stereos. I'm one of them, and these are hard to find nowadays. If you get it in eBay, you're gonna have to pay more. You're gonna have to pay the shipping. They double the price. So it's very kind of, this is about money, guys. This is about money. There's nothing else out there when they sell all this vintage stereos. They want to make money. They want to make profit. Some of them, they buy it for a low price and they sell it for a high price. And these are the part, these are the things that people will sell in eBay to make more profit. So I don't really buy on eBay because they double the price. If I can get it very low, I can, go to flea market. A lot of people are selling there. All this, retired people or older people, they clean somebody's houses, mansion houses, and they clean their houses, and then the owner give them all this junks, all this stuff, and then these guys, they take it to the flea market and they sell it, even though it's a low price, but it's free, so they sell it there. So these are another way to find this vintage for a low price. And the other thing about vintage, the good vintage stereos, guys, when you buy vintage stereos, okay, you always have to look. This is the most important thing to look when you buy vintage stereos, okay? This is really important. You have to open that stereos. You have to look inside. You have to look all these motherboards and this transformer and capacitors and the watts, okay? These are the most important thing, because these are the things that will throw a really good sounds to your speakers, okay? And the other key, when you have good vintage stereos, you have to match it with good speakers like Marantz or Sansui, SP2000, or any kind of speakers that it's really good and it's known, okay? Meaning it's branded, okay? So you have a really good quality sounds coming from your vintage stereos. So it's very simple, guys. These are the keys when you buy good vintage stereos. Okay, so you can tell when you open those stereos, when you take the cover out, from the good stereos to a cheap, low price, or cheap stereos from the 60s and 70s. The skinnier, I don't think it's that good. So you always buy a thicker vintage stereos, receivers or amplifiers. The bigger the better, the heavier. So these are tips, guys, that I learned for many years when buying vintage stereos. Don't go out there and when you see small, thinner and lighter receiver or amplifiers from the 60s and 70s, don't just buy it, because you're wasting your money. So you have to really study before you buy things. You can watch it in YouTube from other people about vintage stereos. You can, Google it. You can Google the brands that you're looking for, and you will learn from the internet. But YouTube, guys, they have a lot of videos that they share about their vintage stereos, like my videos. So you will learn there. If you're a beginner, you just want to collect stereos, you're in the 20s, these are the things that you need to learn about collecting vintage stereos, about buying vintage stereos from good to bad. So there you go, guys. I hope I help you guys out there for the new beginners, newcomers, about vintage stereos from the 70s. And I hope you learn from me. And thank you for watching this video, and hit the subscribers, and you will get a notification every time I upload a new video to your YouTube channel. So guys, thanks a lot, and I will see you again next time. So for now, say ciao ciao.